Welcome back to another episode of the She Got Lucky podcast. Today's episode is very, very different. You may even be able to hear it in the sound right now. I'm not currently in my office. I'm not currently in a studio. I am actually not where I planned to be. See, right now I was meant to be getting ready to go on stage and speak in front of 400 women from all over the globe. How they can dominate online, be not only standing out, but be known, be remembered as the one through the power of video marketing. Now, a hurricane did sort of change those plans. Hurricane Helen, Hurricane Helene. Either or, it has caused severe damage, and where we were meant to be staying was evacuated. The airports were, all closed. So instead of flying through to Tampa, I got off at LAX, and rather than flying on through, I have been here for the past 2.5 days, and I fly home tonight. So I wanted to make sure I still was able to give you an episode today. And in fact, I've actually got Bridget, the organizer of Freedom Queen Alive, coming on in the next few weeks. So I can go through with her how she navigated this. Can you imagine organizing an event, putting so much work into it, investing so much money, having 400 plus women coming from all over the world. Women, they were organizing their families, coming with their families. They had made whatever needed possible to happen so they could be there. And within 48 hours of the event starting, Bridget had to make the insanely tough decision to put the safety of the attendees, those coming first. I can't even imagine how that must have gone for her, the thought process, but I know that this has all happened for a reason. And so I wanted to make sure that I could bring Bridge on and we could talk through this. I know it'll be a really powerful episode, but in the meantime, I didn't want to leave you high and dry. I want you to start your week off with the absolute biggest bangs of bangs. And so what I'm going to do is, recently I actually hired out a content studio or a podcast studio with a friend of mine. And we just sort of sat down. We both got really clear on who each other's dream client was. And we came up with some questions for each other. So my beautiful friend Annie, who was actually on the podcast last week, if you didn't listen to that episode, go back and listen. She's incredible. She really helps you become the most confident speaker on stage. Whether it's meetings, whether it's masterclasses, she has got you. So I've picked out one question that Annie asked me in particular that I really, really want to bring to the surface and have a bigger conversation about. So today's episode, it's short, it's to the point, but it's something that really popped up for me. It's mindset shift, and I want to allow you to perhaps look at this from a different perspective, have a mindset shift, right? But above all, after listening to this episode, I want you to plug on into this conversation with me. I want you to share your own experience or something that might have popped up for you. You can do that if you're on Spotify. You can leave that in the comments. If you're on the podcast app, you can send me a DM, leave a review with your comments. But I want you to plug on into this conversation, okay? So I know this episode is a little bit different to usual, but let's still have some fun. All right, let's dive in. One of the biggest blocks I see when I start working with my clients is they've limited themselves to, I only want to make this amount of money. I don't need to make a lot of money. I don't need to make millions. I just want to make enough for this. And what I have found, the reason for this is because we associate being rich, being wealthy with a certain person. We think that if we get rich and we make X amount of money, we're going to change. We're going to be a different person. And that fear of changing and being different scares us. So what I like to remind my clients on is money only amplifies us. Money only amplifies the person you already are. And how I always come back to this and remember this, I look for an example. I look for an example where I've come into money and what have I done with it. When I was 7, I got out of the car. My dad was filling up the car with petrol. I got out of the car. I looked down and there's $100, two $50 notes underneath me. I'm like, Dad, did you drop this? He's like, no.
And with money, you can't take that in and be like, hi, sorry, someone dropped $100. And you're just going to be like, yeah, I'll hold on to it in case someone comes and asks to pick it up. You can't do that. So Dad said, well, it's yours. So what did I do with my $100? I came into money. At that time, I was like, what the f- this is like, I'm a billionaire. What? I won the jackpot. What did I do with it? I went to the local store and I bought some gifts for my grandma. And that right there is my proof. Do not limit yourself to earning only this amount. The more money I make, the more of that comes out. The giving, giving to people I love, giving opportunities, helping more people. So I want you to think back to a time where perhaps you felt that, I've got this money, what am I going to do with it? What did you do with it? If you had that question, like if you won the jackpot tomorrow, if you won the lotto tomorrow, what would you do with the money? You're not going to be like, I'm going to build all these terrible things and hurt people. I'm not going to do this. You're an incredible person. You're heart-led with everything you do. So of course, if you make more money, you're only going to be able to help more people. So don't limit yourself to, I can only make this money. I only want to make this much. Literally, dream bigger, dream higher. Allow yourself to earn more.